The red dust of Mars swirled against the dome of Research Station 7 as Dr. James Wright stared at his computer screen. Something was wrong with the readings. The quantum scanner, designed to monitor deep space activity, showed patterns he had never seen before. "Tom, come look at this," he called to his assistant. The younger scientist walked over, coffee mug in hand. His eyes widened as he saw the readings. "That can't be right," Tom said, putting down his mug. "Those energy patterns, they're moving against solar wind." James nodded, his gray hair catching the artificial light. "Whatever it is, it's heading straight for us. And it's slowing down." The observation dome of Research Station 7 sat on the edge of Valles Marineris, Earth's first permanent research base on Mars. 15 years of human presence had transformed the facility from a simple habitat into a sprawling complex of interconnected domes and underground chambers. But nothing in those years had prepared them for what they were about to witness. As the sun set over the Martian horizon, the sky lit up with dancing lights. At first, they thought it was an aurora, impossible as that would be on Mars. Then the lights began to take shape, forming into what looked like teardrops of pure energy, each one about the size of a small car. "Security teams are on standby," Tom reported, his voice shaking slightly. "Earth Command wants to know if we should evacuate." James shook his head. "No, look at the pattern of their descent. It's too controlled, too careful. They're trying not to frighten us." The lights descended slowly, eventually hovering just outside the main airlock. There were 7 of them, each glowing with a different shade of soft pastel colors. The one in front pulsed with a gentle blue light. Through the reinforced windows, James could see that they weren't just lights. Within each teardrop of energy was a physical form, like a cross between a jellyfish and a butterfly, transparent and delicate. The station's external sensors picked up harmonic frequencies, music, but unlike anything heard on Earth. The patterns shifted and changed, creating what felt like words in pure tone. "They're trying to communicate," James breathed, reaching for the station's external speakers. He input a simple mathematical sequence, the first few prime numbers, using sound waves similar to their own. The blue entity pulsed brightly, and its harmonic response perfectly matched the sequence, then extended it. A universal language of mathematics, proving their intelligence. Over the next few hours, through a combination of mathematical sequences, light patterns, and eventually simple pictograms displayed on external screens, they learned the basics. The visitors called themselves the Wanderers. They were refugees, fleeing from something they called the Hunters. Their home system had been destroyed, and they had traveled for what seemed like decades, searching for intelligent life that might help them. "We need to get them inside," James decided, after consulting with Earth Command. "The radiation exposure out there isn't good for any living thing, energy-based or not." The process of bringing them in was delicate. They had to pressurize the largest cargo bay, modify the atmosphere based on the data the Wanderers had shared, and ensure all safety protocols were in place. But when the inner doors finally opened, and the Wanderers floated in, every human present felt the weight of history on their shoulders. The blue one, who would later be known as Blue, approached James. Its light patterns shifted into what seemed like a gesture of greeting, and the harmonics it produced created a feeling of profound gratitude in all who heard it. "Welcome to Mars," James said simply, spreading his hands in a universal gesture of peace. "You're safe here." He didn't know then how those words would be tested. He couldn't have known that this moment of peaceful first contact would eventually lead to one of the greatest conflicts the galaxy had ever seen. But in that moment, as humans and Wanderers began their first real conversation, hope filled the recycled air of Research Station 7. The Wanderers had found their refuge. Humanity had found its first alien friends, and the universe would never be the same. 3 months after first contact, Research Station 7 had changed beyond recognition. The Wanderers brought life and color to the stark Martian facility. Their soft, glowing bodies lit the corridors with gentle rainbows, and their harmonic songs filled the air with beautiful music. Amy Wright, Dr. James's 16-year-old daughter, spent most of her time with Blue. She had arrived on the supply ship from Earth as soon as the authorities declared the Wanderers safe. Unlike the adults who approached the aliens with careful scientific interest, Amy showed pure joy and curiosity. "You're saying your people build ships using light?" she asked Blue one day in the observation dome. The young wanderer pulsed with cyan light, creating patterns that the translation computers now understood quite well. Light and thought together, the computer translated. Energy shapes reality. Amy watched in amazement as Blue demonstrated, creating a tiny model of a ship from pure light. The other wanderers had shown humans many things, but Blue seemed especially eager to share knowledge with Amy. Down in the research lab, James and his team made breakthrough after breakthrough. The wanderers' understanding of quantum mechanics was centuries ahead of human science. They showed how light could be used to fold space, making faster-than-light travel possible. But more importantly, they showed how to do it safely. The hunters followed these paths between stars, Blue explained to Amy, while James took notes. They tracked us through the light bridges we built. We had to break them behind us, but they always found new ways to follow. The mention of hunters always made the wanderers' light dim with fear. Amy had learned to change the subject whenever this happened. She didn't like seeing her new friend sad. As weeks passed, more wanderers arrived at human colonies across the solar system. They helped build new fusion reactors on Mercury, improved the cloud cities of Venus, and transformed the ice mines of Europa with their light-based technology. In return, humanity gave them something they hadn't had in years: homes, safety, and friendship. On Mars, Amy took Blue on tours outside the station in special protective suits the engineers had designed for the wanderers. They would stand on the red cliffs of Valles Marineris, looking at the stars. "Those are pretty," Amy said, pointing to the shifting patterns of light Blue made when happy. "What do they mean?" The translation computer in her suit spoke. "It means friend family. We have no exact word in our language. It is more than friend, different from family, but carries the warmth of both." Amy smiled inside her helmet. "We have a word like that too. We call it chosen family. People who become as close as family even though they're not related to us." Blue's light shifted to match the color of Amy's suit, a sign of agreement they had developed. The young wanderer had learned many human gestures, just as Amy had learned to read the meanings of different light patterns. One evening, as they watched Phobos rise over the Martian desert, Blue's lights suddenly dimmed. The patterns turned sharp and worried. "What's wrong?" Amy asked. "The stars are changing." Blue's translated voice came through her helmet. "Some are going dark." In the research lab, James's quantum scanner began picking up strange readings from the outer solar system. Dark spots were appearing in space, places where light itself seemed to vanish. He remembered what the wanderers had told them about how the hunters tracked their prey across space. He rushed to the communication room to contact Earth Command. But deep down, he already knew what was coming. The peace they had built, the friendship between species, the bright future they had planned. It was all about to be tested. The hunters had found them. The first hunter ship appeared beyond Neptune's orbit. Through the quantum telescopes, it looked like a massive crystal spider, its body glowing with harsh red light. More ships followed, each one bigger than the largest human spacecraft ever built. In Research Station 7, every wanderer's light had dimmed to nearly invisible. Blue huddled close to Amy in the observation dome as they watched the emergency broadcast from Earth. "This is Admiral John Parker of Earth Defense Command," the gray-haired man on the screen said. "To the approaching vessels, you are entering sovereign human space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." The response came in a deep, grinding sound that made the station's windows vibrate. The translation computers struggled to convert it into human speech. "We are the hunters," the harsh voice said. "You harbor our prey. Surrender the light beings to us, or face the consequences of interfering with the hunt." James watched as military ships launched from Earth and Mars, taking defensive positions around the colonies. Humanity had kept their military capabilities secret from both the Wanderers and any watching eyes in space. Now those hidden fleets emerged from underground bases on Mars, secret stations behind Venus, and camouflaged bases in the asteroid belt. "We don't recognize your claim," Admiral Parker responded. "The Wanderers are under human protection. They are our friends and allies. Leave our system in peace." The hunter ships moved closer, their crystal bodies reflecting the distant sunlight. Through the telescopes, the humans could now see that each ship was covered in trophies, pieces of technology and artifacts from other civilizations they had hunted. "You do not understand," the hunter voice boomed. "This is not a negotiation. This is not a war. This is the hunt. It is our right. It is our way." The light beings flood, making themselves prey. "We track them across 57 star systems. No species has ever denied us our prey." In the station's main hall, the Wanderers gathered, their lights pulsing with fear patterns. Blue translated their harmonic songs for Amy. "They destroyed our home." Blue's translated voice trembled. "They do not hunt for food or resources. They hunt because they believe it makes them strong. To them, mercy is weakness. Friendship is weakness. Love is weakness." Amy stood up straighter. "Well, they've never met humans before. We have a different idea about what makes someone strong." A new message from the hunters filled every screen and speaker. Their ships had reached Jupiter's orbit now, pushing forward despite Earth's warnings. To the species calling themselves humans, the hunter voice growled, "We have studied your history. You are divided. You fight among yourselves. You waste time and energy protecting the weak. You are not worthy to stand in our way. Surrender our prey, and we might consider sparing your worlds." Admiral Parker's response was immediate and firm. "Let me be clear," he said. "The Wanderers are not your prey. They are our friends. Every human child who has played with them, every scientist who has worked with them, every person who has learned their songs. We all stand together. If you want them, you'll have to go through us." The hunter ships moved closer still, their crystal bodies beginning to glow with weapon energy. On Earth, Mars, and every human colony, defense systems activated. Hidden missile silos opened on Deimos. Stealth fighters launched from the dark side of the moon. "You have made your choice," the hunter voice said. "The hunt begins." The first plasma bolt shot from the lead hunter ship, aimed straight at Research Station 7. As alarms blared and emergency shields activated, James grabbed Amy and Blue, rushing them toward the underground bunkers. The war for humanity's alien friends was about to begin. The plasma bolt never reached Research Station 7, a hidden defense shield built with combined human and Wanderer technology, caught the energy and scattered it harmlessly into space. But the hunters were just getting started. 3 massive crystal ships broke from the main fleet, diving toward Mars like giant predatory birds. Their weapons carved glowing lines across the red planet's surface, targeting communication arrays and defense installations. "Get everyone to the underground shelters," James shouted as he ran through the station's corridors. Emergency lights flashed red, and the sound of distant explosions echoed through the structure. Amy held tight to Blue's protective container as they rushed down to the lower levels. Other Wanderers floated beside them. Their lights dimmed to almost nothing in fear. The hidden bunkers under Research Station 7 had been built long before the Wanderers arrived, designed to withstand even nuclear attacks. But the hunters had weapons humanity had never seen before. The first crystal ship landed near the station, its massive legs crushing Martian rocks. From its side, a beam of dark energy shot out, cutting through the dome's outer layers like they were paper. Emergency force fields snapped into place, but the damage was done. Multiple breaches in Sectors 7 and 9, the station's AI reported. Hunter boarding parties detected. Through the security cameras, James watched as crystalline figures entered the station. They walked on 2 legs but looked like they were made of living crystal, their bodies glowing with the same harsh red light as their ships. Each one was at least 8 feet tall. "They're heading for the Wanderer habitats," Tom reported from the security station. "They're ignoring our people unless we get in their way." In the command center, James received an emergency transmission from the hunter ship. The image showed the hunter leader, a towering crystal being with patterns of black running through its red body. "Surrender the light beings," it demanded, "or watch them suffer. We will extract their energy slowly, making an example for any who would deny us our hunt." Before James could respond, alerts flashed across his screen. The hunters had broken into one of the Wanderer sanctuaries. Security footage showed them capturing several of the peaceful beings, including an elderly wanderer who had been teaching human children about light-based mathematics. "Stop," James shouted into the communication channel. "They're peaceful. They're not a threat to anyone." The hunter leader's crystalline face showed no emotion. "Exactly. That is why they are prey. The weak exist to make the strong stronger. Watch and learn." On every screen in the station, the feed switched to show the captured wanderers. The hunters had them trapped in dark energy fields, slowly draining their light. The wanderers' harmonic screams of pain filled every speaker. In the bunker, Blue suddenly jerked in its container. "Family friend hurt." The translation computer spoke. "They're taking the light songs from the elders." Amy held the container tighter, tears in her eyes. "Dad, they're killing them. We have to do something." James's hands shook as he sent an emergency signal to Earth Command. But what he saw on his screens told him help was already on the way. Hundreds of small, fast ships were launching from Earth's hidden bases. Larger battleships emerged from camouflaged hangars on Phobos and Deimos. The hunter leader noticed too. "Ah, you wish to fight. Good. It will make the hunt more interesting." "No," James replied, his voice cold with anger. "This isn't going to be a hunt. You just tortured our friends in front of our children. What's about to happen is something very different." As if to emphasize his words, the first wave of Earth's ships broke through Mars' atmosphere, weapons charge. The hunters were about to learn a crucial lesson. Humans didn't become the dominant species on their planet by being weak. They did it by protecting their own. The first wave of Earth's ships hit the hunters like a thunderstorm. Small, fast fighters darted between the crystal ships, their weapons carefully targeting joint points and sensor arrays. The hunters had expected fear or retreat. Instead, they found fury. "All ships, pattern Delta." Admiral Parker's voice rang through the battle communications. "Remember your training. Hit and run. Don't let them predict your movements." The hunter ships were bigger and more powerful, but human vessels moved in ways that made no sense to them. Fighters deliberately took damage to their rear shields while delivering killing blows to hunter weapon systems. Larger ships acted as bait, drawing hunter fire while squadrons of stealth bombers struck from hidden positions. In Research Station 7's bunker, Amy and Blue watched the battle through security feeds. The young Wanderer's lights pulsed with amazement as human ships protected Wanderer evacuation vessels, taking hits meant for the refugee ships. "Why do they risk themselves?" Blue's translator asked. "The hunters are stronger. Their ships are bigger." Amy smiled grimly. "Vigor isn't always better. And humans, we're really good at fighting bigger enemies." Above Mars, the battle grew more intense. The hunters deployed their elite ships, massive crystalline structures that could fire in all directions. But they discovered something unexpected. Humans had studied Wanderer records of previous hunter attacks. They knew the weaknesses of crystal ships. "Sound cannons, full power." Admiral Parker ordered. The human fleet released waves of concentrated sound energy. The crystal ships vibrated, their structures developing tiny cracks. The hunter leader's voice boomed across all channels. "Impossible. Your technology is primitive. You cannot harm our ships." "Primitive," Admiral Parker replied. "Maybe. But we learned something from Earth's history. Sometimes a primitive stone can bring down a giant." As if to prove his point, A squad of human ships launched what looked like simple kinetic missiles. The hunters ignored them, their shields designed to stop energy weapons. But these weren't normal missiles. They were filled with ultra-high-frequency sonic generators. When they exploded against the hunter shields, the sound waves resonated through the crystalline ships. Cracks spread like spiderwebs across their beautiful but fragile structures. Second wave, move in, Parker ordered. Protect those Wanderer transports at all costs. The largest human battleships moved forward, their hulls marked with art. Drawings made by human children who had befriended the Wanderers. They fought with a combination of advanced technology and simple physics, using gravity assists from Mars to gain impossible speeds. In the Hunter command ship, the leader watched in disbelief as human vessels sacrificed themselves to save Wanderer refugees. A small Earth ship took a direct hit meant for a transport full of young Wanderers, its crew ejecting at the last second. You value the weak this much? The Hunter leader demanded. You would die for prey. The response came from 1,000 human ships at once. They are not prey. They are our friends. James watched from the station as humanity's true space fleet was finally revealed. Ships emerged from hidden bases across the solar system. Quick assault vessels from Mercury, heavy battleships from Jupiter's moons, and swarms of fighters from the asteroid belt. Fall back. The Hunter leader commanded as more of their ships cracked under the sonic assault. Fall back and regroup. But the humans didn't let them retreat. They pursued the Hunter ships, protecting every Wanderer vessel, refusing to let a single crystal ship escape undamaged. The Hunters had wanted to teach humanity about strength. Instead, they were learning what happens when humans protect their friends. The battle for Mars was nearly won. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. While the space battle raged across Mars' orbit, Amy made a discovery in the bunker's computer system. She had been analyzing the Hunter ship's energy patterns with Blue's help when she noticed something important. "Dad," she called out, "the captured Wanderers are still alive. Blue can sense their light songs coming from the Hunter flagship." James rushed to their terminal, studying the data. The Hunters hadn't killed the captured Wanderers. They were keeping them in special containers, slowly draining their energy. Among them was the elderly teacher and several others from the station. "We can save them." Blue's translator spoke with determination. "But we need to get closer. The Hunter ships have walls that block our light songs." Admiral Parker's face appeared on the main screen. "Dr. Wright, we're picking up the same readings. We're forming a rescue team. But we need Wanderer help to locate the exact position of the prisoners inside that ship." Amy stood up. "Blue can help. We've been studying the Hunter energy patterns together. We know how their ships work." James started to protest, but stopped when he saw the look in his daughter's eyes. It was the same look his wife had worn years ago, when she commanded rescue missions in Earth's oceans. Some things ran in the family. "I'm going with her," he said firmly. "We'll need both human and Wanderer knowledge for this." The rescue ship was small and fast, painted black to absorb light. 50 human soldiers in advanced combat suits prepared their weapons while Blue and 2 other Wanderers helped modify their equipment with light-based technology. "Their crystals are strong against energy weapons," Blue explained through the translator. "But they cannot handle quick changes in temperature. Hot, then cold, makes them crack." The soldiers nodded, adding temperature modulators to their rifles. Amy worked with Blue to program the ship's sensors, teaching them to track Wanderer light songs through the Hunter's walls. As they approached the Hunter flagship, James watched his daughter work. She wasn't just a teenager anymore. She was a bridge between 2 species, using both human determination and Wanderer wisdom. The rescue ship docked with the Hunter vessel during a massive battle nearby, using the chaos as cover. The Hunters' overconfidence was their weakness. They hadn't expected anyone to be bold enough to board their command ship. "Remember," the team leader told his soldiers, "we're here for our friends. No one gets left behind." They moved through the crystal corridors. Following Blue's guidance, the Wanderers' lights were dimmed to near darkness. but its sensors led them straight to the prison section. There, they found something that made even the hardened soldiers pause in shock. The captured wanderers were suspended in dark crystal chambers, their light being slowly drained into hunter storage devices. The elderly teacher's glow was so faint it was barely visible. "Monsters," Amy whispered, rushing to the control panel with Blue. Together, they began shutting down the energy drains while soldiers took up defensive positions. That's when the hunter leader appeared, its crystalline body filling the doorway. "So," it rumbled, "the prey comes with its protectors. Perfect. Now we can add humans to our collection." The battle that followed was unlike anything in human military history. Soldiers used their new temperature weapons, making the hunters' crystal armor crack and shatter. Blue and the other wanderers used their light to blind and confuse the enemy. But the real surprise came from Amy. While everyone fought, she finished hacking the hunters' systems using both human computer skills and wanderer light science. With a single command, she reversed the energy flow. All the stolen light suddenly burst free, returning to its rightful owners. The elderly teacher's glow blazed like a small sun, filling the chamber with brilliance. The hunter leader staggered back, its crystal body cracking from the sudden energy release. For the first time, it felt something new: fear. News of what happened on the hunter flagship spread quickly across their fleet. The sight of their unbeatable leader retreating, crystal body cracked and darkened, changed everything. But it wasn't just the leader's defeat that shook them. It was what happened next. As the rescued wanderers regained their strength, they didn't seek revenge. Instead, the elderly teacher floated forward, its light gentle and warm. Through the translator, it spoke to the wounded hunter leader. "We could destroy you now, as you tried to destroy us," the teacher said. "But that would make us like you. Instead, we offer you a choice. Learn a new way or leave. Forever." The hunter leader's red glow flickered weakly. "Why show mercy? It is weakness." Amy stepped forward, standing beside Blue. "No," she said firmly. "Mercy isn't weakness. Neither is friendship. Real strength is being able to protect others, not hunt them." Throughout the solar system, the battle was ending. Human ships had surrounded the remaining hunter vessels. The crystal ships' once beautiful forms were cracked and dark, their weapons disabled by precisely targeted sonic attacks. Admiral Parker's voice echoed across all channels. "To all hunter ships, your flagship is captured. Your leader is defeated. Surrender, and you will be treated fairly. Resist, and you will learn exactly how far humans will go to protect our friends." One by one, the hunter ships powered down their weapons. On their homeworld, far across the galaxy, young hunters watched the transmitted images in wonder. They saw humans risking their lives to save beings they had known for less than a year. They saw wanderers showing mercy to their tormentors. It made them question everything they had been taught about strength and weakness. In Research Station 7, now being repaired after the battle, James watched as Amy and Blue worked with both human and hunter engineers. They were designing new shields that could protect against both crystal weapons and dark energy, not for war, but for defense. "The younger hunters want to learn from us," Blue's translator spoke. "They see a different kind of strength in how humans fight not for themselves, but for others." The hunter leader, now a prisoner but treated with respect, watched these activities from its containment cell. Its crystal body was slowly healing, but its mind was changing even faster. "Perhaps," it said slowly, "we have been hunting the wrong things. Power without purpose is empty. Strength without compassion is brittle, like our crystal ships that shattered." 3 months after the battle, representatives from Earth signed the first Galactic Protection Treaty. The document, written in human languages, wanderer light patterns, and hunter crystal code, established the Sol system as a sanctuary for any species fleeing persecution. Amy and Blue stood together in the observation dome, watching ships from dozens of worlds arrive for the signing ceremony. Some carried other refugee species who had heard about Earth's defense of the wanderers. They came seeking friendship and protection. "Did you know humans would win?" Blue asked Amy. Amy smiled. "No, but I knew we wouldn't give up. Humans are kind of stubborn that way, especially when our friends are in danger." The hunter leader, now beginning its rehabilitation, joined them at the window. Its once harsh red glow had softened to a gentler shade. "We thought we were the strongest beings in the galaxy," it said. "But true strength was here all along, in the bonds between different species, in protection rather than predation." As the sun set on Mars, casting an orange glow across the repaired domes of Research Station 7, Amy looked at her strange family. Her human father, her wanderer friend Blue, and even the reformed hunter. Together, they had proven something important to the galaxy. Sometimes the strongest weapons aren't weapons at all. Sometimes the greatest power comes from having something, or someone, worth protecting.